Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. This week, we watched the April 7th, 1997 edition of Raw is War, and the match card is as follows. In our opening contest, we had Owen Hart and the British Bulldog taking on the Godwins. Next was Steve Austin taking on Billy Gunn. We had the Headbangers taking on Freddie Joe Floyd and Barry Horowitz. Ken Shamrock took on Vernon White in a no-holds-barred exhibition. Vader took on Frank Stiletto, and in our main event, pulling double duty, Steve Austin takes on Mankind.
Girl,
Right.
Psycho said overslept or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
honestly,
He didn't show up.
He said snooze.
he said, no. Bing.
Honestly,
Nighty night.
he's like most of us most morning, which is where he's just like, do I have to go to work today?
Yeah, it just seems like nobody wants to work these days. But it's me.
Thanks, Kim K. Thank you.
It's me. So
so you're the problem. It's you.
I am the problem. We knew that though. Welcome.
All right.
If we're a year and you haven't realized that yet, I mean,
then were you really listening?
I'm just
This
saying.
is a test.
Oh my
All
God.
right. So the episode opens up with a little replay of our little fireball moment between Mankind and The Undertaker yesterday. It was just so dramatic, no words. They even filtered out just like the general like audio of the clip, like just overlaid us with just like a very like dramatic withering kind of soundtrack. But you know, it really it painted the picture, you know, it added the drama.
I loved it.
I will say this episode was one for the promos. It was really,
yes.
the promos that happened, they were extensive.
Yes.
And they were like on point for the most part.
Yeah, this I was thinking this while we were watching this, and I have a question for you as a wrestling fan.
Okay.
And if anyone else, wants to chime in the comments and offer their opinion also.
Yeah, please do.
As a wrestling fan, if you bought tickets to see Monday Night Raw, Raw is War, la la la, and you go and it's like minimal wrestling, like mostly squash matches, just more meat in the promos. How do you feel about this? Like, because you buy tickets not knowing really what's going to happen.
Yes. Although I will say, like, you bought tickets. What is televised isn't necessarily what they are seeing, like, at the venue. So, like, correct. Yes, they'll see, like, the 2 hours that we see, like, on television, but we don't really know if they're, like, bookending that as far as, like, filming other matches and things that we just like don't see, or like having other matches that we're just like not seeing, like dark matches. True. Well as they very well could be doing what like AEW does nowadays, which is like they'll film like Dynamite and Rampage, or they'll do like a Collision and Rampage. So it's you're getting like kind of more than one show. So it honestly kind of looked like the episode that's going to air next week was being filmed this week at the same time, because the interview that Brett had he was already in Johannesburg, and it kind of looked like, based on how like heavy we were into like the people that were on the show today. So like it was real heavy on Owen and the Bulldog.
Yes.
But my guess is that's because the other half of the roster is over there doing like there was no Goldust, no Hunter, no Rocky Maivia, no Nation. Like, so my guess is that maybe next week like they will be more heavily featured because they were filming something. So I don't know. But generally, like, to answer your question, this is a really long way to just not answer the question.
No, but you're educating me. This is good. This is why we're here.
I guess I probably would feel some kind of way if I didn't get it felt like I didn't get my money's worth as far as like match quality goes. But I mean, they keep you. There's just so much going on that like at the end of the day, like, as long as you're entertained, like, I guess it really is kind of like a choose your own, because some people could just sit there and just be like, I was only here for the promos anyway, you know?
Right. Like
So,
I was like, I don't know, like part of me would love this because I love the tea. Like I love
mhm,
the drama, I love to see. Um, but yeah, I could also understand how people were like, could be like, okay, but I literally paid to see wrestling and I just
right.
got like a bunch of like
People
squash
talking.
matches. But I guess that's kind of like if you don't necessarily want wrestling, if you want wrestling to be exciting,
Mhm.
then like you don't know what's going to happen and so you buy your ticket knowing that. Does that make
Right.
sense? So I
Yes,
guess it's just
and
like you buy the ticket, take the ride.
right, and literally, on every wrestling show, or at least every WWF show, like, for any ticket you buy ever, it will always say like, card is subject to change.
Right.
Always. There is always the disclaimer that, like, "Hey, like, things happen, it could be not what it says on the paper." So,
Hmm.
and that clearly obviously happened tonight. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
and I did like a little research, just to kind of be like, where is Sid? Because we've had people just not show up and then be gone before.
Right.
Um, so we are generally from like pretty much this point, I'm going to just see kind of less of Sid.
Oh.
He is in the background of all of this, dealing with like neck injuries and things.
Oh.
That kind of like he is kind of like coming and going from. So for the next like little while, it's going to be the Sid content's going to be very sporadic, or at least that's what I read.
Heard. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
And WWE always think on their feet because, it ends up working out in a excellent way as we'll get into later. But yeah, interesting. I was
mhm, mhm.
curious.
So in our first match, the I guess we're gonna just start calling them by their newly reunited name. The Hart Foundation takes on the Godwins.
Hey,
So,
girl.
mhm. So first, I just love to make note that like we have all accepted the big lie that Owen Hart is a two-time Slammy winner.
Oh my
Um,
God. It's
that the
so
announcers
funny
have
to me.
accepted, like everyone, like the commentators, just like two-time Slammy winner. I was like, this man has actually won no Slammies. He's just taken
None.
Slammies. He's
He
just
he
stolen the Slammies.
next year they should legitimately have a Slammy for like who's stolen the most Slammies. And then he could actually win one.
He'll have one like legitimately.
Yeah, but oh yeah, if you guys didn't watch our Slammy episode, Owen once again stole another Slammy. I don't know if we mentioned that the last time, but or
Oh
whenever he
yeah,
came
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. So we've done a couple fun like after darks the last couple weeks. So yeah, last week we did Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame acceptance speech. The week before
Mm-hmm.
that, we had the 1997 Slammy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're
Also,
interested in
Xavier
that,
did a fantastic one on his experience working WWE World,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
WrestleMania 40. Oh my God, it's so fascinating
Oh,
to see
thanks.
a little bit behind the curtain. Obviously, I just love to watch Xavier do a solo episode too because it's just so exciting and entertaining, but it's really, really interesting. Of course, like it cracked me up that you became like the resident educator. I won't give too much away from the video, but like you became like the resident educator on wrestling. And I was like, well, that's literally your lot in this life because that's what you
Right.
do here too. It's
Honestly,
just so funny. Like you're just leading the charge and educating the children about wrestling, which is so
yeah,
exciting.
it was fun because most of the people I was working with just like didn't have any kind of like wrestling background. They just kind of like applied to the job, or they like generally do conventions, that sort of thing. Like it's just kind of how they make their money. So it was kind of funny, just like as we were being told like who was coming like to the stage, I would like have to like preface that like, okay, like this person is this person, this is what they're
I
doing,
love
this is what they're doing this
that.
weekend. People are gonna ask them a lot about this. And then, for all like the female competitors, we had to like barricade the tables, or barricade them like behind the table. Not like had to, but we put like a physical barrier so that people don't get a little too
Yeah, see.
handsy. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun because like it's just what I love to do. So like of course I'm gonna take every opportunity to do it.
And what
Um,
like what a WrestleMania to work. Like it's
I know.
just so mind-blowing, like so
Hmm.
serendipitous, so cool. So definitely please go watch that episode if you guys haven't yet. It's amazing.
Thank you, thank you. So let's get back to this one. So at the beginning of the match, Owen takes the mic and USA chants erupt
Erupt.
immediately.
Well, because they also walked out with gigantic flags. Obviously British Bulldog had the English flag, and
The
then
Union Jack
yeah,
and
and then Owen had
the
Oh
giant,
Canada.
yeah, the giant maple leaf. And
Love a prop
basic,
to be petty.
oh, absolutely, like absolutely. And just to like further kind of like take the point home, he just kind of like goes on this like diatribe about how his family has been made whole because of his brother Brett, and how his family is filled with love. And you're just like,
Girl.
what is going on? Because like
So
up,
weird.
I love it just because like it's the same energy he's always been given. He's just like flipped the like, oh no, now Brett's like, it is just in true little brother fashion where it's just like, oh, my brother's on my side now. Like he's actually supporting what I want. So like
He's
it's
so
fine.
cool.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I just talked about this with my friend Samantha today, where it's like literally like your sibling is your mortal enemy for your whole life, and then one day you just wake up and you're like, they're actually pretty cool, it's fine. And then you
Right.
like are fine. But it's
Right.
just
Yeah, yeah,
like it's
yeah.
giving that energy where it's like now my older sibling isn't beating me up, so we can hang out
Right.
now. We actually have a
No,
lot of similar interests. So
no, yeah, it's
weird.
crazy. Like I'm telling you, like me and my younger brother had that kind of like traditional older brother younger sibling kind of situation. Me and my sister were
Mm.
one, she was a sister, so when I couldn't do all of the things I probably would have, and two, we were a lot closer in age, so it's a lot harder
Hmm.
to like boss her around, you know. But my little brother, like there's just like that age gap meant so much more when like I was 15 and he was 10,
Right,
than
right.
when I was 25 and he was 20. So
Fully, fully, fully.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's very, very that. Very like, okay, like come along now. And you're just like,
Yeah,
all
same
right.
with me and my sister. Literally, we got to high school and I was like, oh, this is fine.
No, exactly, exactly. During that, we get a little like as the match is like has started, we got a cutaway interview to Shawn Michaels in the back, and basically he's just like, oh, like he's told that he shouldn't say anything bad about Brett because Owen and the Bulldog like will be listening. And basically he's just like, I'm gonna not only upset them, I'm gonna probably upset a whole lot of people. So just kind of like wait around for it. And you're just like, yep, yep, more power to you, Shawn. Absolutely.
Hmm.
There was one point in the match where Phineas like Godwin had like a whole fit tantrum thing and had to be like restrained. And I was
Very odd.
very like it came out of nowhere. It dissipated just as quickly. But at one point, like Henry was like on top of Phineas, like holding him back while he was like actually having a fit.
And the weirdest part about it is they acted like that's something that just happens. That kooky guy Phineas, sometimes he just has these crazy fits and he just like
Right.
flips out. And we were like, when
What?
has he ever done that? At least since we've been
Literally.
watching. Like, since we've been watching for over a year,
Mm-hmm.
he's never once done this. And they were like, oh, that's that old whatever seizure, or
Mm-hmm.
it had like a name. And I was like, did I miss something?
I
Like
was like,
I
I'm sorry, I didn't know that Phineas Fitz was like like something that we that was just bantied about and known. Like I
that
had
we're
no
privy
idea.
to that are in the
Yeah.
US Medical Journal. Like I
No,
don't know.
literally, what is the DS whatever?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I couldn't think of what it was called. Yeah, I
Um, that's absurd.
super weird. Super. They had to basically like a hog, like get on him and like choke him a little, so we kind of went like, all right,
Right, yeah,
fine
like
now.
a
Super weird.
yeah, he had to like bite the dog on the ear, you know, like it was just very
Fully.
strange. Um,
Mm.
one little cute little lighthearted moment, when the Bulldog tags Owen out of the match at one point. Owen does a quick spinning heel kick. The Bulldog does like the cutest little happy feet dance a la Owen,
Yeah.
just like on the way out of the ring. And I was just like, woo!
Oh my God, it just makes me want to do the same thing. Like, woo! I was like, oh, he caught the Owen. They're really
Hmm.
like they're back together. The boys are back together. They're
I
better than
know.
ever.
The boys are back in town.
I'm t
Absolutely.
woo. Okay.
Spectacular. So in our second cutaway interview during this match, the Legion of Doom came on,
Mm,
and basically, I just they're fantastic. They're
they're
basically like mistake
amazing.
number one, coming after America. which we knew about. We were there last week. He told us pretty much the same thing, and I was like, all right.
So
And then
funny.
Hawk starts speaking, and every time it's the well, and you're like, oh god, he's gonna say something absolutely putrid. Like,
Yes, putrid is the perfect word.
and he talks about the tag team championship match, obviously, and he goes something about knocking the rancid bile out of their bladders.
They're
And
bowels.
oh, their bowels. My apologies.
Just wanted to be clear.
Just want to be concise with
You
his.
know, just don't want
Yeah,
to misquote him.
just something. Every time Hawk says something, it's like in this like vein. He always takes like this left turn. You know what I
I
mean?
know, and I love it. It's like words I never expect.
No.
And somehow it always like sometimes there's always like a little bit of alliteration, like bile out of the bowels. Like some or
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, like stinky garbage on the street. Like there's
Right.
some sort of like almost like he's like doing beat poetry. I don't know. There's just
No,
something
very
so foul and delightful about it.
absolutely. Like it's like the you know when you're like opening like a chapter or like starting a story, like the hook. Like he always just has like a
Yes.
good like hook, and you're like,
Yeah.
where
So today
are
I
we?
woke up and decided to kick the ever so rancid bile out of their bowels. And you're like, okay, I'm in.
Right.
What is this? Who
No,
is this?
100%. It was like, your immediate thought, or at least mine, was, what does that entail? Like, I want to, like, what does that mean?
Yeah, no, literally, I just out of pure morbid curiosity, and also like, do we think they would feel better afterwards? Like rancid bile being, I feel like you might actually get some relief from that if I
Oh,
were
it's like
to.
when you like pull trig when you're drunk, and you have
Yeah,
like
fully. Oh,
and you
fully.
have like a moment of like clarity where you're just like, everything's better now. I can keep going, or at least I
Yep.
do. And
Well, yeah, you do. I go to bed. Xavier's a rallier. I am so not. I'm like, okay, good night. And Xavier's like, woo!
no, literally, I'm like, I'm back. I have expelled the demons, and
Resurrected.
I'm ready to take on some more.
Oh my God, 100%. That is so true.
So Owen and the Bulldog pick up the victory after a top rope splash from Owen. But the Legion of Doom comes out and has a little face off, uh, sandwiching the tag team champions between
Mm,
them and the Godwins. They're all kind of exchanging some words. The Godwins have their slop bucket primed and ready.
gross.
Le- so gross, especially
Now that
after
we
what
know.
happens next. So they rear back. They're ready to throw that slop on the tag team champions. The champions duck. Not happening. Not for
Mm,
them. No, no, no. And you just see the slop just absolutely just splatter across the chests of the Legion of Doom. Just
horrible.
gray mystery liquid,
I think
and
that's it. The color of it really got me.
it's so
It
yeah.
was like kind of milky looking. Ugh. Oh my
No,
God, gross.
no,
Horrible.
thank you. No, thank you. I don't know why you brought yourself to that space, but that's on you. That was literally
Oh my God. Literally, that
I
was self-harm. That was fully
I did not do
self-harm.
that, and there's someone at home also gagging.
I'm
So,
sorry. Oh my God, you guys. I'm so sorry. This is my
um,
public apology. Wow. Horrible.
so LOD gets slapped, and then the ensuing fight is just A1. It's just you want to. Those are the four behemoths you want to see just
Fully.
absolutely just annihilate each other. Like, go for it, absolutely, have at it. I would watch it all day long. Um. Oh, I did want to point out, or you pointed out during the episode that the we're I don't know. I love a crowd sign or a shirt or
Same.
whatever. What did it say? What did it say? Go ahead.
The 13-year-old boy, like sitting directly behind the announce table, had a shirt on that just said, "Hey Elmo, tickle this," with an arrow pointing
It was
to the
crazy.
unmentionables.
It was just like, where's your keeper, little
Where
boy?
is your parent or guardian? Who let you walk out of the house and go, yes, you'll be in the front row, definitely visible to cameras and the entire public at large. And I agree with the choice you've made.
Right.
Thank you. Which,
I
again,
will say that
thank
kid was
you.
probably a legend at school the next day.
Let Swear to God,
Right.
everyone was like, holy, that's what's his name? That's Tim.
Right. Right.
And he's just like, hey, I'll tickle this. I'm telling you, this kid had to be between the ages of 13 and 15. Like,
Right. No more.
no
Like no
more.
more.
No more.
Which it was just like, how did what?
Thank
Go
you so
for it.
much for your service, though, because, like, I
That
hope
was
you
hilarious. That was so
feel the
funny.
energy.
Because like invoking Elmo in such a manner was was not on my bingo card. So,
Nope, especially, like, in this day and age where now Elmo's on Twitter and is like, "Hey, guys, how
oh
you
my god,
doing?" And
how are
everyone's like,
you?
"Tickle this, Elmo, whatever,
Yeah, how
girl."
am I doing, Elmo? Don't fucking insult me with such a question.
I'm sorry things are looking so up on Sesame Street, but over here it's a recession. I don't know what's going on over there.
In these streets, grapes cost $14.
It's funny because it's true.
Ah,
Ow.
any day. So after that, we get a backstage kind of interview moment, which I was just absolutely tickled by. I thought this whole thing was just hilarious. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just Owen and the Bulldog just giggling backstage like little girls, just like look what we did, yeah," like the whole time. And they basically just have the production truck just replay the slopping like four times, three
Like,
times.
over and over again. They're going,
They
"Play
they
it again, play it
I know
again."
they like literally begged at one point. They're like, pretty please.
Your champions are asking you to play it again. Like, we
It
just want to
was
see.
it was fantastic. Of course, fulfilling their extra bratty role. But the last go around, we do get kind of like a wide shot, and we hear Stone Cold off in the background, just hooting and hollering at the two of them, because now we know they have aligned themselves with Brett. Therefore, they are enemy numbers, I guess, 2 and 3
Mhm.
to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because
Yep.
if there is a hierarchy of needs, it is get Brett the Hitman Hart and then his stooges.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
um, that's kind of where we leave on that, and then we move on to Austin taking on Billy Gunn. We didn't really know it was going to be Billy Gunn at first because the Honky Tonk Man who was on commentary, some of them as some of
Mm,
the episodes, some of it wasn't. We know how we feel about the other Honky Tonk Man. We don't have to belabor it, but he comes out and we were like, okay, like who is he going to drag into his mess now? And it was Billy
mhm.
Gunn, poor thing.
Yeah. I wanna say Poor Thing, but also Honky Tonk Man, this is wouldn't have been my next choice. But I guess if you want a blank canvas and you wanna start building someone up
Right.
from then maybe, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, it was just a weird fit, but I did find really amusing that the Honky Tonk Man, instead of just going guitarless, was just carrying around the broken guitar, just shards and all, as if it was like that sword in Lord of the Rings, like just in a bag.
Narsil, yeah.
Yeah, just in a bag, just chilling, and you're just
In
like,
it yeah, in a bag, like, attached to the neck of the
mm-hmm,
guitar, so it just looked like a cotton candy from hell, like, the
right.
the stick and then just all, like, the bubble bag of all the shrapnel, just walking, Billy Gunn to the ring, which I will say, Billy Gunn wearing the cutest vest I've ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
finally. I was like, "I don't care" again, I don't ask for much. A little switch up.
Just give me something that shows me he has a personality, which I know he does
Yes!
because I watched the rest of his career. This is just so like, why is it so dry? Like,
Oh my god.
like, like,
I was like, "Where is he going with this?" Get him a glass of water,
I
girl.
know that's what I'm saying. It's just
Oh
I
my god.
literally took like half a sleeve of saltines to the face. It's like how it feels.
Do not inhale.
No, that'll just it'd be like the cinnamon challenge a la like 2007. Just
Yep.
like,
Oh my god, what a nightmare. But
uh,
yeah, thanks, Billy Gunn, for doing that.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, honestly. So, we get a backstage interview from the tag team champions. Again, as I've mentioned, they come up a lot.
a lot.
They are really, really the stars of this one. They were like, they came to work that day and they were like, "You're gonna be working a lot today."
Uh-huh.
So,
Yep.
um, so just be
They worked
prepared.
for their check today.
Absolutely. And basically, they just go along the lines of such as like, if Stone Cold wants to butt his nose in our business, then we just might make an appearance in his. So,
Mhm.
little tit for tat. Um, Basically, this is just Stone Cold just running over Billy Gunn.
Yep.
That's pretty much the whole thing. I do want to make note though that on commentary, JR calls Steve Austin the rattlesnake for the first time, or he likens him to a rattlesnake, and that is something that will be around for a while.
Yep.
It's
I've
just
seen the shirts.
another moniker that becomes like attributed to Stone Cold. And I don't really know if he's done it before, but to my knowledge, this is the first time like on air he's like a rattlesnake.
Mm.
So we really see Stone Cold's come into his brashness, I guess we'll
Mhm.
say, in that he like flips off Billy Gunn in the corner when he's stomping a mud hole in him. The referee like admonishes him for a second, and then as soon as the referee's turned his back around, he just like flips off the referee, and the crowd goes nuts about it. They're like,
Yeah. And
"What?"
it was great because at first, like, Stone Cold was like, "Oh yeah, like sorry, whatever." And I was like, "Oh,
Right.
that was nice." And then he was just like, as soon as
Hmm.
he turned his back, and I was like, "Oh, should have known, should have known." So good.
So basically, Stone Cold wraps that up nice and dandy with a stunner, calls it a
Mhm.
day. The Honky Tonk Man then comes into the ring after to like console Billy Gunn. Basically, he's been like, I've been watching you. I've been watching hours, like hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage on you. And I'm like,
Which
where's there
is,
hours and hours of footage on Billy Gunn up to
I
this point?
swear,
Right? Like,
unless you
relax.
have literally cameras in his house, freak. Like, what do you
Right.
mean?
And then he goes and tells him just the biggest lie. And he's just like, you were, oh, like, you were my number one choice. And I was like, we literally just watched you pick someone else
Last
first
week.
last week. You didn't even let us
With
forget it yet. Like, we haven't
You
even
got
gotten
the
to it.
guitar in the bag
That's what I'm
at
saying.
ringside. We
He
were
said first
there.
choice. And I was
First
like,
choice.
no,
Just,
just absolutely not.
I really can't.
Billy takes a page right out of Jesse James's book and is having absolutely none of it and knocks the Honky Tonk Man right in his face. He said,
Thank God.
yeah, because you were like honestly disappointed when it was
I
Billy Gunn.
was. I
Yeah,
literally wrote, I wrote Billy Gunn wearing a cute little vest, but now I have no choice but to hate him because
right,
he came out with Honky Tonk Man. And then I was like, again, it was that moment where I was like, Billy, redeem yourself in my eyes.
right.
Save our relationship right now. And he did.
He
Thank you,
did. He really did.
Billy.
He really pulled through.
Though I would love it if Billy got a haircut. Because Honky Tonk Man's like, I could even get you a haircut. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. A cut
Ooh,
hair.
appealing. Yes, yes, yes.
Not the Elvis one though, because then he was like, and then we can grow some sideburns. I was like, okay, no, it's a
No,
scratch.
no,
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 thank
no,
you.
no,
But
no.
I would love it if Billy came with the literally, and I'm not normally into this, but a buzz cut, like clean, just
Ooh, I get that.
start over.
I get that. I get that. I was just thinking of what Billy Gunn would look like with that, and it's just Johnny Bravo.
Ooh,
And it's just Johnny Bravo. Right.
oh no. Oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to scratch that
I'm
from my brain.
so sorry. Yeah. It
Oh
would
my,
just that's exactly what it's
I
just
can't
that.
tell if I hate that or like it a lot. I hate
Uh
it. No, I don't know.
LOL. No, literally though.
I'm gonna wrestle
I'll
with
tell you what
that.
I did hate though is just next segment. Because
Yeah,
it was the commandant from the Truth Commission in South Africa.
this was a fever dream.
So this was like he comes out in like military garb, sure, that's what we'll go with, and
Mhm.
just like starts addressing the crowd, and we're all just like, who in the hell are you? We're confused. We have no idea what's going on. He's telling us that next week's Raw is going to be in South Africa, and then he starts just like attacking America. Basically
Mhm.
saying that the criminals rule the legal system. Again, probably more true today than back then.
Mm.
Then he really goes into like he calls like America like sissy liberals and like we accept things that are against the law of nature. And the whole thing just didn't sit well. I've heard this speech before. I've heard it in a church. I've heard it on the street. I've heard
I've heard it
I've
from
heard this
Professor Umbridge. I've heard
right.
it like
I was
uh,
like, I know
just
what you're doing, and it's weird.
it's super weird. And also he talked forever.
Forever.
Forever. Someone in the crowd at one point just went, "I'm bored." And
I didn't hear
I
that.
was
That's
like,
amazing.
"No, literally though." Like
Mm,
cuz also it was a lot of words and terminology and political la 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 for like not what we're here for. Like,
No, and
I'm not misjudge I'm not, like, making a assumption about the intelligence of the audience, but it's just like, you're not in that space. Like, I'm here to watch people fight,
no,
like,
no, literally,
and I'll listen to a promo, but this is, like, an education. Like, I
and
don't
all of this is just, and all this whole promo is just an introduction to another promo. Like
like,
it is just another promo. So it just leads into, this is all just set up for Bret Hart, who's in South Africa.
which
Literally,
made
what you
no
could have done
sense.
is just had anybody on commentary go, "Here's Bret Hart from South Africa," and it would have saved us all 10 minutes. Um,
It was so long, and I thought maybe this was gonna be, like, the debut of somebody new that
Me
was coming
too.
from South Africa. So it's like, okay, this is his manager, the
Mhm.
commandant. He's from the Truth Commission, la la, and this is
Right,
gonna
right,
be
right. Out here to
something.
drop knowledge on everybody. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like
here
I get
and he
that.
goes, yeah, and then and the person who really abides by that is this next man, Bret Hart, and we were
Right,
like, Bret Hart, Miss
right.
Hart from the Hart Commission.
All of
I know
this,
him. We
right.
didn't need this song and dance.
Right.
Jeez.
So, and then Bret Hart just basically is like, I know a lot of people think I've like lost my mind, and basically he's just like, actually, like I've never been more sane, like, which is, the
Mm.
true ramblings of a crazy person. Like,
So true.
right. It's a,
Like
it's
Mankind.
it's like
Mankind's
the
like, "I'm not
equivalent
crazy."
of like that, like where the person's clearly just like inebriated, but there's always like that, I could do one more, and you're like,
No, you can't. You
right,
could, but you shouldn't.
right, right,
You
100%.
absolutely can, but you definitely shouldn't.
Right, because it's just it's a mistake. So basically he calls Stone Cold a loser, and that America like can't comprehend the truth, and that everything's different now when it comes to like the hitman shows no mercy. And we're like, okay, all right, we get it. I
Mhm,
understand.
mhm, mhm.
And that's basically the gist on that. Brett's a bad guy. And
He's so
like
mean.
right. Grr.
I
Um
yeah.
that's just like it was just like I could have just taken the Brett part. I didn't need all this build up.
The Patton, I didn't need the intro to Patton, and it felt like the length of Patton, which is like a 3 hour movie.
Right.
Um, but I do love the angle. Like, I love a villain who literally is like, "No, no, I'm seeing completely clearly, I am correct."
Right.
Because I just then it's like nothing distracts you from what you think is the right thing to do, because, like,
Mhm.
that's what you believe is the right thing to do. Like, you don't have any of that moral, like, "Ooh, is this I don't know." Like, I love villains like that, but it was, like, the longest walk to get down the shortest pier. I didn't need it.
Right. But that is immediately followed up by a phenomenal interview with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Oh my god.
It was amazing. He comes out in a little suity suit, little up, half up, half down dude with a little purple scrunchie. I
A
loved it.
little purple scrunchie.
I don't know why I was really into that purple scrunchie, but I
Well,
brought it
because
up like multiple times.
yeah, but they don't make haven't seen those types of scrunchies in a long time, and I can't even describe it, but, like, if you guys see it, you would know. I used to have those, and I used to have them in, like, pink and yellow and purple and, like, whatever, and I haven't
Mhm.
seen them since I was but a youth, so it was
But a
just a
youth.
nice but a youth, so
Mhm.
just nice to see her. And the purple amidst all the black and the whatever, like, it's just that little, like, pink of Shawn Michaels. I just love to see it.
And this was just it was fantastic. So basically he
So
like
good.
opens it up and is like, "So I opened my mouth and got beat up." And he's like, "But that's not like new for me. And if
I
you know
know.
if you know who I am, I tend to jack my jaw and then fight about it for a living. This is how I make my money."
Which is
So
hysterical. I
right.
just it's so honest and it's just perfect because it's just
Mhm.
it reminded me of when he was talking about, I think it was, like, Vader and Sid, and it was like, what's worse, like, the Vader bomb or the power bomb? And he was like, "Well, both have knocked me out, so I don't they're both great, I get." Like, he just has
Right.
that, like, "I just get beat up. I don't know. It's my job."
Right. And so then he gets asked, he's like, I've been asked about like why Brett's like a bad guy. And this just opens up like Pandora's box of just like who's like, sit down, children, I have story time. And
Mm. Once upon a
he's
time.
like, Brett did not go bad. Brett has always been bad. Like, he talks about how Brett says that his family's been exploited by the WWF, and then Sean's basically just like, he lets his family gets exploited for money. He absolutely he says he'd sell his mother for a quick buck. And you're just like, That's rude. But it's like
Real crazy.
and then he just like keeps going and really like, and this is the thing, he addresses the fact that they do not like each other. They do not like each other in the back. They do not like each other on TV. They're it, and I'm telling you, they don't like each other.
You can tell.
And basically he talks about like his own career, and he's basically like, so when I, 6 years ago when I became the Intercontinental Champion, Bret Hart was like making his way to the WWF Championship. He's like, I played second fiddle to Bret Hart for years, and I didn't complain because that's what you do when you do business. And he's like, but when it was Bret's turn to return the favor, oh, he did it, but he did it kicking and screaming,
Mm,
and it was just like, yikes, because that's kind of what happened. And again, you know what I mean? It's just like one of those, like, you see the kind of like the truth in both of what they're saying. Like
of course.
you believe that they believe whatever it is they're spitting. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, 100%.
And then he goes, and then Brett like leaves and is like, do you know why Brett left? And he's like, because he wanted to see if Shawn Michaels in the WWF would fail and like fall flat on their face without him. And he's like, not only did we not fall flat on our face, did we not just have the best business that we've had in 6 years? And then he goes to Vince. He's like, you're the boss. Numbers? And he's like, yeah, he's right. And
Girl.
basically, he talks about how Brett essentially, he basically calls out Brett for using that time that he was away from the ring to leverage WCW in a kind of bidding war for Brett so that Brett would come back and get more money for it. So that's basically, he calls him out for that in the middle of this,
So
in the
crazy.
middle of all of this, which is just like, these are like the things that are like adding to their personal feud,
I
not
mean,
just their like on-screen feud, because it is very much like they are both just like airing each other's dirty laundry essentially.
yeah.
um so basically, and then he goes kind of like circles back into like his main point from like the week prior, just basically being like, these people do not owe you anything. They can
Mm,
do whatever they want at
mhm,
any point. And then he like addresses the crowd like specifically, and he's like, don't let some wrestler, like some superstar, tell you what to do ever. And
mhm.
it's just like, he's like, you're the reason we're here. If we're like, who are we putting on a show for? Like, it's just like,
Right.
he's just like, um, he basically goes on. He's just like, and kind of turns it back on himself. He's just like, he's like, I'm no better. I'm not a hero. I'm not your like role model.
Love it.
And he's like, I've seen many like wrestlers like put themselves on that like level, and not one of them has not fallen short. He's like,
Mhm,
but I just don't make any like if ands or buts about it. I don't pretend that I am something that I am not.
mhm.
Um, and then he addresses Bret Hart specifically, and he's like, he goes, your obsession with me will be your own destruction. And that is just, that line is brutal. I love that.
Really crazy. This was like it was like a clinic. It was the read of a lifetime because there
Hmm.
was so much it felt like there was so much truth in it that, like, you just can't I'm like, "Is that true?" And also, like, dismantling it works so well in the story because it's, like, dismantling Bret Hart as the hero by,
Right.
like, picking him apart of, like, "Oh, you love this guy so much, and he was, like, your number 1 excellence of execution, whatever." He literally, like, he exploits his own family for financial gain, like, he can't separate, like, this delusion from his real life, like,
Hmm.
it just it was like a "don't meet your heroes" thing, and Shawn Michaels like, "And I'm not a hero, I'm literally just a guy, and, like, that's why you can, like, trust what I bring out here because I'm not gonna bullshit you with, like,
Right.
a song." He goes, "I do, like, the song and dance, but not like that." Like,
Right.
it was just, crazy. It was
Right. And you can
great.
tell that line about not being able to separate whatever. He's like, I'm obsessed with the championship because it was my dream from when I was a little kid.
Right.
He's obsessed with it because he was born into it and feels like if he doesn't, he's a failure. That is like some like, you know what I mean? Some like royalty like kind of thing
Mama.
where like if you don't like live up to the expectations, like you're not it. Mind you, Brett is like the most successful heart of all of them.
of all of them.
So
But there
uh
could be that like, sorry,
no,
go ahead.
that underlying like drive, like need to like satisfy that.
Hmm.
And he's just like, and that's like I feel like that that is Sean's truth, is like he believes like this guy cannot like make a real life separate from wrestling. His life is only wrestling. And
Hmm.
like that is what complicates so many things, is like at the end of the day, Shawn views that like he's like, this is a where it's a job. Like I love it. I love it so much, but it's a job. And like
Yes.
and I you have to be able to at the end of the day, just like sometimes when you're working, you have to do things you don't necessarily want to. And
Yep.
it's not like a slight on you as a person or your accomplishments or whatever. Sometimes that's just the job.
Yep.
And like Sean's point is like, if you can't not make it personal, what are you like, how do you expect to be able to do business?
Yep.
So I mean, again, not wrong,
He's
but
not wrong. And it's great because again, you see like both perspectives.
right.
And it's so crazy because it's just like I know that each of these people, like you said, believe this is the truth.
Mhm.
So like how are they gonna like be able to move on from this like feud or whatever, like even do anything beyond this because they believe that they are correct.
Right.
And you can see like why both people would feel that way. Like we talked about how we sympathize with Bret Hart, or at least I definitely do, like with getting screwed over so many times. And you're like, oh my God, like if this was me, I also would freak out. Like, what the heck? But also at
Mhm.
the same time, Shawn Michaels, like, I mean, it's just a job. Like, you think I want to get my ass handed to me all the times I did? Like, I didn't, but I just get out here and I do my job because I love to do my job and that's it. And
Right.
I also think it's great because we're talking about like, we're not in that era anymore of like wrestlers having to live their gimmick 24/7. Like, we know, like, Undertaker obviously does, but, like, certain wrestlers don't have to do that anymore. So it's
Right.
like also like pulling the curtain back and being like, listen, like at the end of the day, this is just a job. Like you guys, the audience, pay us to be here and
To
be
put on a
entertained.
show. Yeah.
And I get my call sheet and my script like everybody else. And that's just how it goes.
Right. Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
it was just a phenomenal promo. Like it was just
Really
so
good.
good.
Really
Um
good.
so moving on from that one, we have the Headbangers, just honestly like my new favorite tag team.
Delightful.
Taking on Barry Horowitz and Freddie Boots the House Down Floyd. It's been so
Oh my
long.
God,
It's
it's
been
been
so
a
long. Hi,
minute since we've seen
Freddie.
both of them. Honestly, I forgot
Honestly.
how cute Barry Horowitz is. I
Oh,
was
I
like,
know. And he also like
"Hey,
showed out in this one. I mean,
he
like
did."
as much as you can for a squash match, like he showed out.
They sell. I mean, Freddie Joe Floyd, Barry Horowitz, they'll never make me hate you, babe. They'll
Mm-mm.
never make me hate you. They sell
Never gonna
so
give you up.
well. Never. They sell so well. There's a reason that they continue to have jobs. Like they're
Right.
just love. So good for you guys.
So during this match, we get another backstage kind of situation with Vernon White, who is going to be the opponent of Ken Shamrock in our no holds barred exhibition. Basically, he's just like, I'm gonna do my best, and then we move on. Like, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. He's so
Um,
serious though. He's like,
yeah. I
it
was
was
like, okay.
crazy.
Again, just saltines for personalities. So
It's true.
I have another, just like Horowitz was like great in this match. He was selling like $1 million. He got like some good offense in. He just like he just looked good. He just
He
put on a
did.
good match. And
Yep.
the Headbangers finisher is always something to behold. That like power bomb leg drop is brutal. I love it.
Mm.
And they're like the timing of it, it was just like spot on. Like
Mm-hmm.
Floyd hit the mat and then it was just like leg. It was just like boom boom. And you're just
It
like,
was so on point, it almost looked like it was gonna miss.
right,
Like, at first I was like, "Ee," and then I was like, "Oh, wow."
right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
so on target. Wow. Sunk my
So
battleship for real.
amen. So next we had Ken Shamrock in our no holds barred exhibition. And this was it was quick, but it was there was a lot going on.
I am so confused because, like,
Yes.
basically just an exhibition is just a wrestling match that means nothing.
I Yeah, I guess. But I also like it was more. I think they were trying to make it more like a UFC thing, like a that
Right.
kind of exhibition.
Yes.
But it was
It for sure
just
felt that way.
yeah, but it was just it's like weird because it's like in a wrestling ring with a wrestling referee. Um,
Yeah.
so it was weird. Ken Shamrock looked like $1,000,000. Looked like $1,000,000.
He was in like
Absolutely.
little red tights and like
Mm-hmm.
red boots, and he had red kneecaps, and he was big and sweaty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Delightful. And honestly, Vernon White, pretty good looking too. Can't
Yeah.
lie.
No, not at all. But yeah, it was just like it was it was your typical like kind of like squirmish. There was lots of like trying to get in and out of submissions. Between the two, Vernon put up a good show and getting out of submissions that he was put in. With some
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive counters, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
But at one point, Shamrock's kind of like on the ground because he was trying to apply a submission, but Vernon gets out of it. Vernon runs over and just like hunts Shamrock like across the chest, and
That felt so personal.
it yeah because it was also taken very personally because Ken
Yeah.
Shamrock immediately takes Vernon down, mounts him, gets in like the mounts position, and just beats the hell out of him until the referee just is like, nope, nope, that's enough. His face is just like profusely bleeding,
Broke his
and like you don't
nose.
even like see it. Like you don't even like you're just like looking at his face, and then all of a sudden he's bleeding. Like it's just like he's just like all of a sudden covered in blood, and it's just like the effect of him getting just like punched, like the blood was just like splattering everywhere, and you're just like, this is not where I thought this was going.
No, and it was crazy because afterwards he was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I got a little carried away there because I just got like really frustrated or something." And I was like,
Yeah, he like lost
"Say,
his temper, and he's like, yeah, and that's just like how it goes. And I'm like, is it?
like,
I was
like
like, I'm
I,
pretty sure that's a crime.
yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure that was assault.
right. I was
I'm
like,
not sure.
I don't think
Really,
you could just lose your temper like when you feel like it and just start
also
wailing on people.
really scary. Like just like because you're fighting. The point
Mm-hmm.
is to fight each other. So he hit you with the move, and suddenly you're like, well, now I have to kill you, and just
Right. Very that. Very,
really
very that.
very Hulk, Bruce Banner. Like I don't know. Like
Uh,
sun's getting real low. I don't
mm-hmm.
know. Really scary.
So after this little like no, during this kind of interview, Vader makes his way down to the ring and just kind of like gets in Shamrock's like grill, like, and of course they were not going to let this happen. Like they being everybody in the back, so at 4,000 referees, all of the
Hmm.
backstage personnel, Pat Patterson, like
With
we're
a
just
little
all out here with it. Pat Patterson rolled down here with a cigarette behind his ear. The man's was fully on his break. He
he
was
was. What a sin.
said, "Get it." I was like, they were like, Vader's acting a fool, and he's like,
Damn it.
God.
I just, gosh darn it. Like, and I love that Pat Patterson is so real for the fact that he was going, they told him, like, Vader and Ken Shamrock are going to fight. These two gigantic people. We just saw Ken Shamrock break somebody's nose, and Pat Patterson's like, yeah, I'll just tuck this behind my ear for safekeeping. I can
Yeah,
handle it.
yeah, I'll get that. I'll get it back later. And you're just like,
What?
okay, go off, go
Like,
off,
you don't
go
want to
off.
at least put it in the pocket, back in the box? Like, I don't know. He said, no, I'll just tuck right behind my ear. It's fine. It'll be cracks knuckles. He's like, it'll be quick. Let's go.
Easy peasy, he
Crazy.
says.
Love that guy.
Um, and we know Pat's not afraid to get in there because he got in there with Triple H last week.
Oh
So
my God, what a thrill. Oh my God, last week was great.
amen. So after that, Vader has a match with Frank Stiletto, and boy, Frank Stiletto.
Wow. I'm
First of all, that was the most heinous mullet I've ever seen. As someone who is
heinous.
currently rocking a mullet, no, that was bad.
Nope,
There's we there is a transitional section that needs to occur
that
that
needs to
just
happen.
didn't. That just
Mm-mm.
straight up didn't.
It went
I
just,
and so this was a squish. This was just feeding somebody to Vader. That's we know what this
he's
was.
hungry. Just give him somebody to hit. I don't know. Just
Yeah,
whatever. Just like stiletto. You could imagine a female wrestler with the name like Jessica Stiletto.
mm,
Like that turns me out.
right.
That
You know what I'm
turns me
saying?
out.
Yeah,
But
like
Frank
mhm,
Stiletto, handsome,
I
bad
know.
mullet. I'm so upset. The word stiletto is such a
Oh yeah, we
thing.
were talking about during the episode. We referenced the like I love New York, like Tiffany Pollard like going off on on Gemma.
On Gemma.
It's that same energy. He and basically Vader's like, I would like to let Stiletto know.
Pretty much, I will let Gemma know that she is a fat, and the shoes that she gave me were not something that I would particularly buy for myself. They were old maiden type of shoes. And she said that those shoes were meant to be worn on a beautiful woman. So if that's the case, she should have put them back on the rack. And she should never even purchase them because she was unqualified to own those shoes if that's the case.
That old maid wrestling trunks. Oh my
Yeah.
god, iconic. I'm
So
just outraged, but whatever.
yeah. So poor Stiletto got squashed and we're moving on.
Mm.
So we get another backstage interview with Gorilla Monsoon because he has an update for us because Psycho Sid is nowhere to be seen. Psycho Sid was supposed to take on Mankind in the main event. It is like alluded to that he is like they were like, I don't know if he missed the flight or like got in a car accident. And I'm
Like,
just like, oh, we're just like out here just like throwing out theories. Like,
like what is this? Like 24-hour mystery? It was like, and also just the jump from like he might have just overslept and missed his flight, or he might have died in a heinous car accident.
right.
And we're
I
like,
was like, which one
what?
of these is not like the other? And you're
It's like,
like, get it, get
just
a
like
grip.
also, I don't know.
Get a grip,
Okay.
Monsoon.
Okay.
But basically he comes in to call in Stone Cold Steve Austin as the replacement, and Stone Cold is basically just like, the fuck you will.
Yeah.
He's like, I already worked.
Literally.
He's like,
He,
I already worked today. For what reason do you think I owe you any? Like my contract has been fulfilled. I'm going out there for you.
you
That's crazy.
wish.
That's crazy. And then
So he's in like his civilian clothes, which also loved his shirt, but he's in like his civilian
right,
clothes, and he's like, no, like I'm like packed up, ready to go. Like
right. What did you think this
I love
was?
him so much because Gorilla Monsoon is literally your boss, and he was this close to his face within an inch of
Mhm.
his life. Like, I'm not going out there. Like,
And then
I'm just
and then he
not.
goes, and then he's first of all he's like waving around his like knee brace that he has like taken off. So it's just like an open knee brace, just like
Just like,
and just all willy nilly. And
like,
basically he
yeah.
goes, actually, on second thought, he's like, I told Bret Hart I wasn't done with him. He's like, you give me Bret Hart at the next pay-per-view, I'll save your ass. I'll do this little match for you. And you're
Mm.
just like, that's some big dick energy. That is
Oh,
like that is like I'm gonna take what I want, thank you. I was like, you scratch my back, I guess I'll scratch yours.
that's what
Like,
I'm saying.
mm-hmm.
What so bold. So bold. And
So
he's right.
bold.
He said it a long time ago because they're not gonna fire me. They're making so much money off of me.
Right,
So then might as well get what you want in the process. It's like, listen, I'll be your little workhorse. I'll get out there and do my little thing if you give me what I want.
right.
We gotta
Fully.
learn something from this. Ask for that raise, girl. Go
Right.
ahead.
You don't get what you don't ask for. So
There you go.
basically Gorilla Monsoon is just like, we have a couple minutes, like, but if Sid doesn't show, it's yours. And we're like,
Hmm.
okay, okay, Gorilla.
He's nothing if not fair.
Gorilla's like, I got a show to put on, so
He was like checking the watch. He's like, we still have a few minutes, but sure.
no, yeah, get out there. So then we have a special presentation from Mankind, and this promo was not what I was expecting because it
No.
was just so much more of Mankind than we have ever gotten before, and I
Yeah.
love it.
You did.
It's
Interesting.
crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I had mixed
Because
feelings about it.
Well, because it's, like, so jarring. Like, it's just so, like, where did this come from? So I get
Hmm.
that. Like
Because okay, so for me, a lot of the appeal of Mankind is that you know nothing about him.
Mm,
So then when it's like he gets into, because I literally just wrote kind of weird speech from Mankind, because then he gets into like the wife, the children, and he's like, and
mhm.
if you think that like Mankind is above holy matrimony, then like turn off your TVs. And I was like, I didn't think above. I thought maybe like super far below. Like I thought
Right,
maybe the total opposite. I don't know. And to like have offspring, kind of crazy. Like I
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It just was, again, like, part of his appeal to me is that I know nothing about him, so he can do anything, go crazy, go in any direction,
Hmm.
whatever. And not that this information necessarily changes the trajectory of his character, but just not what I was expecting at
No,
all.
not at all. And like it started off very in like a man, like the typical like mankind fashion where he's talking about like I needed you to smell like charred flesh, because he talks about like coming home to his like wife, and like she asks him like what's burning, and he's like it's me, and you're like oh my god.
Girl, like, what? Put out the flame. I don't know. Why are you
Yeah, and then
getting
he literally
crisp?
he's like, I needed to introduce you to my life. And then he talks about like his children. He's like his children say like to like uh ask him to like keep them safe. And he's like, I can't. Like I'm on the road for like 300 days a year, which is very just like true, sure, but like
Yeah.
also where? What? Like
Where
I
are
get it.
they?
I like it just because I know Mick Foley, so I like this like knowing more about him.
Right.
But I can understand from like just as from like from a new fan perspective being very confused by this.
Yes, I think the beginning and the middle confused me, but the end was great, especially when you, like, again, when he was talking about like being on the road all the time,
Hmm.
because it kind of reminded me when we were watching the ECW documentary when he was Cactus Jack and he was talking about like how much the fans demand of
Hmm.
his character, and that's kind of where it ended, where it was like, because I wrote down, because this was crazy, because he was saying like, we to the Undertaker, like, we have produced more violence than any other like feud ever has. And he
Hmm.
literally says like, and they, like, the people demand it, like they want it. And he said there are no more public hangings. The best we have is Mankind and Undertaker,
Yeah,
which is
just crazy.
wild,
after
wild.
after like going into this whole like JFK assassination
I
like
forgot.
description, he basically asks he's asked like, oh, like what's gonna happen like with the Undertaker, and he's just basically like when they shot like JFK, it was talking about like the brain splatter being everywhere, like it
And
just
we
like
just watched it over and over again.
yeah,
Like,
and like just like the way that we like ate it up, and that's kind of how he tied it into like the just the fans like expecting such violence.
right.
Um, and then he puts on like a plea to be like, if you have like women and children, like don't watch this. Like it's going to be brutal.
Hmm.
And he's like, I will not be responsible for like whatever happens like to the Undertaker. And then we get the Undertaker gong.
Oh, but wait, before that though,
Mm.
we have to get into the present.
Oh
Cause that
yes.
shook me, girl.
So yeah, I completely spaced. So Mankind comes out like this entire time is like leading up to like a presentation of something. He's got like a little present for the Undertaker. And basically he pulls out another Mankind mask, and like is basically just like, we're gonna be twins because you're gonna be so like maimed that like you're gonna like want to wear this. Like, and
Yeah,
you're like,
oh, it was so crazy. And like Paul Bear like unwraps it from like this delicate black silk
mm-hmm,
cloth and like just like holds it up. That was
crazy,
crazy.
crazy.
Wild.
So then we get the Undertaker gong, and the Undertaker is just like, we got the lights flickering, and then over the speakers we just hear fire, brimstone, eternal damnation. He's like, what do you know about these? And he's like, I know like all too well.
Oh my God.
And he talks about Mankind. He's like, you must feel like the heat. Um and he tells Mankind that he's going to spend eternity paying for his crimes. It was just so good. It was just
Oh, it
like
was beautiful. So
it's
good.
just so like, he just sounds like he's reading like a sermon from the Book of Evil.
Swear to
I don't
God.
know like
From the
what
Book
that
of
actually,
Revelations.
like he's just, it just sounds like scripture. I don't know why, but
For
it's just,
sure.
it's crazy. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and they have him, not really, but like clips of him on the Titantron. So it's
Mhm.
like not, which I love. Like, it's not just him like talking. Like, it's
No,
just, it's
no.
like clips of him with like the eyes and then like cemetery and
Right.
like darkness and lightning and whatever, and like cuts, but like quick cuts between his face, and it
Hmm.
just so added to the effect because the lights stayed down pretty much the whole time.
And
Like,
because
and
they
he
like don't know where, like, Mankind and Paul like don't know where he is.
And he
You
could
know,
pop up at any
because like if he's on the Titantron, like he's standing in the back somewhere with a camera. When
Right.
it's just his voice, be anywhere. He could be anywhere. I love
Right?
it.
Love it. And he
Um.
says the craziest thing to Paul
Oh
Bear
yeah, yeah. Uh.
ever.
Go ahead. You
It's
can do
like,
it.
oh, I was like, um, and he says, and to Paul Bear, and I was like, tell him. But he was like, I taught you everything you know of the darkness, but not everything I know.
Mm-hmm. I
Because
love
he was like,
that.
I'm gonna unleash like the demons from hell and like blah blah blah, like the whole thing. I believe him. I believe
Right.
he's going to the portal to hell right now and being like, I have to. I believe he's doing like Aragorn in the king, the Return of the King. Yes, where he
Yes, yes,
gets
yes.
his ghost homies
Oh
to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It gave that.
Absolutely.
It gave very that where he's like, I'm gonna go get my my people, my demons from hell, and now you're really gonna pay.
Right. He's like, just wait. So we exit out of that with Stone Cold's entrance. So it will be Stone Cold taking on Mankind in the main event. Like, guess Sid's just nowhere to be found.
Sleeping it off.
And this match is just as hard hitting as you remember. It's just as hard hitting as the last time they faced each other. It is the two of them who really have no love for rules, order, physical well-being.
Mm.
So they were suplexing each other on the ramp.
Mm-hmm.
They were just choking each other over the top rope. They're throwing each other into like the barriers. At one point, Stone Cold like shoves Mankind completely off of the ramp. He trips and like falls backwards into the barricade, and it's just like it looked just like it hurt so bad. Like you
It
just like
for sure did.
yeah, it was just like an uncomfortable landing, and it was just like, ugh.
Because, yeah, he didn't like land on top of it. He literally was like his
Yeah,
whole
like
body right in it.
he was like too far from the edge of the ramp to like just kind of like stumble like back into the barricade, just like take a
Mm-hmm.
step and like fall backwards. He like fell down before he fell off the ramp. So like he was like basically like seated before he actually like hit the ground. Like there was
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
way to like absorb any of that.
Oh, it
It was
was
just
horrible.
tailbone on cement.
Both of us
Uh,
were like, ugh.
no, yeah, you're just like he could have actually hurt himself on that one. So Owen and the Bulldog make their way from the backstage area and are just kind of like just pulling an Ahmed Johnson, just kind of like chilling
Mm-hmm.
in the crowd. Of course, with the ever like ethereal spotlight. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, and then at one point, uh, Austin like spots the two of them and just like is just like just come here.
Hey,
Like
come
where
here.
go ahead. And he's like, I don't really care about this match. Like you can come in here right now, I'll kick your ass.
Which is great. Like he is fighting Mankind, who has thwarted so many, including
hmm
The Undertaker. And Stone Cold's like, I like literally don't even care about this. Like, do you guys want to fight?
Right.
That's crazy.
Mm-mm.
That's so crazy.
So crazy. It is announced during this match that next week we will be having a tag team match between the Legion of Doom and the Godwins based on of all of the
The Slopsident of
sloppiness.
1997.
The Slopsident of 1997. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So the match is continuing. Owen and the Bulldogs start making their way down to the ring,
Can't help
only to
themselves.
be cut off at the pass by the Legion of Doom. They
Thank
come
God.
out and they're just kind of like just toying with their prey, just chasing them around the
Ring
ring.
around the Rosie.
Amen. So that's basically just going on. And uh then Vader just makes his way down to the ring, and this is when the match just ends, and the rest of the episode's just kind of in chaos. So we have the two tag teams chasing each other around the ring. We have Austin and Mankind fighting in the corner. Vader makes his way down because apparently it's Vader time and goes to splash Austin in the corner, misses, hits Mankind, and then Mankind and Vader just start going at it because, like, obviously these two animals cannot have no business being on a team, but here
Yeah.
we are. And, like, honestly, I was here for it. I was like, oh my God, they're going to break him up. This is great.
Thank God. I know, same.
I was
Same,
like,
same, same,
I
same.
want to see them fight always more than I want to see them on a team. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
No,
Like,
it's so true.
I want those two to just absolutely send each other into the depths of hell. And I don't know why we're trying to like pretend like they're gonna hold hands and skip after because they're not.
I just
Um,
can't stand it. So true.
but the weirdest part is like they like Paul Bearer gets in between the two of them, like separates them, and he's like, we're supposed to be together. And then they just like hug it out.
They
And you're like,
hug it out.
right? It was just so weird. It's just like I don't want to. That's not what I want. That's not what I want from Vader.
No.
I am not looking for sincerity or even emotion from Vader. It's just not. It's not who I want it
Ew.
from. If I wanted that, I'd ask it from Shawn. Like you
Thank
know what I mean?
you.
Like just be
Fully.
clearly more personable. Like I don't.
He's the hug it out king for sure. I want
Right.
Vader to just pat Mankind on the head. Like,
Right.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're done
That's the
now.
most.
Right.
That's the most because Mankind's a little creature. Why is
Mhm.
he hugging?
Right. It's just and it's just like it felt uncomfortable because it's just like the two characters wouldn't do this. Like I don't get why we're making
It's
them
like,
do this.
yeah, again, this is another Lord of the Rings reference, but it's like Gollum hugging an orc. Like, it just makes no sense.
No,
They're
no,
just both
absolutely
so
not.
evil and should not be together.
No, absolutely not. And like, and one literally tortured the other. Like, I just don't.
Again, like I'm saying, what is
Eh,
this?
Amen.
Silly goose behavior for real.
But that's how the episode ends, guys. That's
With
where we're
Vader
at.
and Mankind hugging it out. I just, whatever, it's fine.
Not no. So that has been this week's episode of the New to Wrestling podcast. Very, very promo heavy this time
Yes.
around. We are approximately we have one more regular episode. And then we should have a pay-per-view if I'm doing the math in my head correctly.
Wow,
Because the
already.
pay-per-view is on 420 and
Bless. Good for
um
them.
and the next episode we're gonna watch is the April 14th episode. So
That would make sense.
yeah,
That
yeah,
would make sense.
yeah. So thank you guys as always. Make sure you stay tuned for the After Dark episode that's gonna come out this weekend. If you haven't already, check out our previous After Darks. They're short, guys. The last two episodes have only been about half an hour each.
Little nibbles.
And I just put out on it's just on our YouTube channel. You're not gonna be able to find it on your Spotify or anywhere else you're listening to this. A short 10-minute video about my experience working for WWE World, who I got to meet, what I did, and just kind of my experience on the whole thing. It was just a lot of fun. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anything else you have?
I was gonna ask you a question about your WWE working experience.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to know because you were in charge of like handing the things that people wanted to get signed to
The
wrestlers,
wrestlers,
right?
yeah.
Was there something that was super weird that was signed that you can
Um,
think of? Because I'm sure it was a lot of shirts, posters.
yeah, there was like a ton of that. I've gotten a few like dollar bills, a few wallets,
Oh.
a
Oh.
few people really wanted like them to take off like they were taking off the shirt like off of their back
Oh.
like
Okay.
literally and like walking up like shirtless to like give it to them.
I love the commitment.
Um yeah, and nothing like heinous though, I will say.
Thank God.
Definitely a few probably like pictures that were maybe a little questionable, but hey, if they're up on the internet, then like
They're
they're
okay.
fair game. And I'm trying to think of like the weirdest one because there was one where like I think one of the wrestlers was just like, "What?" And I was like,
No. Oh my God.
I was just like, "Yo, I don't know."
That's what they handed to me. I don't know.
No, yeah, and like there was a couple times where I had to like look over at like the talent handler, and I was like, Like, it's just
No
so
way. That's
because I
crazy.
just like I don't know, like I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, so I'm just like, is this like, are you cool signing whatever this is? So
Oh my God, that's funny. I will say
Mhm.
signing a dollar bill or having them sign your wallet is some real some witch shit.
Some very committed.
Yeah.
And
Like
this
not a bad way. That's just like you want like they probably are gonna like do some stuff with that dollar bill. Not in a bad way. Maybe like for abundance or for
yeah, I mean,
stuff.
sure,
But
no
you
doubt.
know,
Um,
that is so interesting. I was
yeah,
thinking, I was watching and I was like, I wonder what the weirdest thing he had to have somebody sign was.
yeah, and fun facts for you all. Me and Kelsey will be in the same place coming soon. So you might see a something. We're gonna make
We
something.
should. I mean, we every time we get together, it's just such a whirlwind, and then you leave and we're like, we should have done something for the show
Right.
that we do together, and we never do. So we're trying to make a real conscious effort to do something for the show where
Mm-hmm.
we're actually in the same room. Because like, do you
Yeah.
guys even believe we even hang out in real life? It's like starting to get really like sus.
I honestly, I get that. I get that. But no, but it's the reason why we never record anything is because we're too busy, like just gabbing.
But
But yeah, no,
yes,
literally, it's the same
fully
reason why, like, in the grand scheme, like for how long we have been friends, the number of pictures of the two of us,
none.
alarming, like
Like
alarmingly
maybe
low.
I can think of two off the
I
top of my head.
I can think of like a few instances, all instigated by you. Like I have no like.
Oh, I've started to get more because I've started to get more aggressive. Like, no, please, and I like props my phone up on like random brick walls and
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
and because
something.
I will never think of it. I never will. I don't know why. It
Never.
just maybe I'm too busy living here, but like I can never remember that like
It's so
anybody would
rare.
want to like capture a memory. I'm like,
Yeah,
uh,
we've only gotten better at it in the last like
I want to say like 2
year.
years tops.
Not
Like
2 years tops, but like probably just like the last year.
right.
Penis.
And
Anyway,
that's honestly because we don't live like 20 minutes from each other anymore.
true. Even then, we didn't do it. Oh, we're
No.
getting better because yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us as
Yeah.
always, and we will catch you later this week, next week, whenever you click on us. We'll be
Yeah,
here.
we'll see you there.
All right. Bye.
Bye.